Yeah, we are live.
Yeah, and I have no lower third.
Bam! And that is Mr. Warren Bowman because Google Hangouts does whatever it wants. Welcome, guys, to our news topic for the day. It's a little late in the day, but hey, it's still big anyway. So today in a financial call by Nintendo, they basically announced that the NX is coming in 2017. And the first time we will see this device will not be E3. We don't know when or where yet. Most likely Nintendo will do another online showcasing and showcase the NX. But Mr. Warren Bowman, your thoughts. Your thoughts on Nintendo clearly telling us NX is coming 2017 and also telling us that we won't see it for at least another 6 months.
It's just a strange call for them to basically they've all but said two things. One, they're essentially pulling out of E3. Well, not pulling out of E3 because they're only going to show one game there basically, and not going to show anything on the NX platform or system. So there you go with that. And then I think this also, while it's good to hear that they're coming with a new console, it's going to be ready by 2017. This pretty much, officially kills off the Wii U at this point. As for anything, for it to be anything of any type of stature in 2016, and takes them out of the holiday season as well too. So it will be interesting unless they have another 3DS style console coming in 2016. They're going to have a very barren and probably bad 2016, and that's what this sort of signals. It's going to be very, very bad.
I definitely agree. I knew Nintendo would make the announcement whenever they wanted to, not necessarily through E3, but I was really hoping for a fall launch for the NX, especially with the PS 4.5. Because you think about it in marketing terms, right? Microsoft already has started edging PlayStation by saying, we're not doing 4.5. We're going to just go and give you that next Xbox, right? And then your PlayStation, you're like, oh, 4.5 because of VR. And Nintendo can come in and say, here's our next generation. Remember, we released early before these guys. Here's our next one right here. And it is just as powerful, even more powerful, whatever the case may be, right, than a PlayStation 4. So that argument now becomes, I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily a hard thing, but now you just moved it away. And again, that holiday period for console sales is always great. It's always great for a new console. You get the hype in, you get people, whether it's waiting in line or just buying the new Christmas console, that whole new launch of saying, yes, I want it. Now, March is not a bad time, but March has been good for the DS launch. Yeah. I mean, nobody has done a traditional console launch at that time of the year. I could be wrong, but nothing I can think of head. So it just puts it in a hard place. And then you also tell me that on the flip side, Zelda is launching on both consoles. My Wii U is dead at this point. I mean, you just told me that Wii U that's sitting right there, I might as well dust it off, throw it on eBay, and sell it.
At this point, I'm pretty sure the sales numbers have gone down for it because of this announcement. I mean, it's good and bad. It's telling us that yes, they're moving on, and they're basically saying the Wii is a failure. But for those people that did buy it and enjoyed the games and wanted to see the platform continue because they invested in it, are now not going to see any of that. It's a very risky move by Nintendo. Anybody that's invested in Weather the Storm right now, it's going to be a very, 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 and I'm not exaggerating, very bad 2016. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah, it will be. Like you said, I agree with you.
I think they lose something in the high 9-digit number of revenue.
Unless, like you said, this Christmas they have to come out with. There are two things. So the other thing that maybe is saving grace is what they're doing on mobile. So it leaked earlier today. Pokemon Go, which is their mobile game, because they've been beta testing, I think, out in Australia and a few other regions, leaked out today. This video on there, I'll have the video in the link in the description for you guys to check it out. That is something that, and the fact that also, what's the first mobile game they released? Is it called
Miitomo?
Miitomo is at 10 million users. So they need to either ramp that up to cushion. It's not going to solve their problem, but at least instead of that heavy 9 that we're talking about, it cuts those numbers down. And then, of course, there needs to be some 3DS release just to pad that, especially for the holiday season. You want to release something, and maybe a Pokemon game tied in with that too, because that's the only thing that will get those numbers. So where you go to investors, you go, yeah, we lost money last year, but it was not so bad. And then you can spin the argument by saying, but we also launched these 2 new avenues with mobile gaming that we didn't have revenue before, and that's going to add revenue in the future. So, I mean, it depends on what they do, but on the console side, it's a little bit disheartening, and especially the fact that I just hope Nintendo releases they have to have a Virtual Boy.
Yeah, man.
They have to, even if it's just for bloody name value. You got to do it.
At this point,
yeah, you have to. I mean, if this delay of the NX to me, I put it this way: if the NX is delayed because now they go, well, we kind of know what PlayStation 4.5 is. Maybe we need to amp it up a little bit, right? I'm cool with that. Because the architecture is x86, made by chipset is made by AMD, just like Xbox and PS4. So we all know that you can make that easy, quick ramp up if you needed to, just whatever minimal sizes. I'm just hoping that when the NX releases, that they have to have a Virtual Boy, whether it's launched immediately with it or separate, whatever the case may be, and they need to have performance with it, because yes, we love the Wii, we love motion controls, but nobody cares right now.
Yeah, it's they might as well look beyond motion control gaming at this point. It's had its time, and it's kind of passed. Mm-hmm. They need to look at. I don't know. Right now, it's a tough thing for me, for Nintendo right now, because they're treading on a trend of either they're going to go into obscurity, or they're going to have some really major success to reinvigorate people back into their platform. Because I do fear if this NX isn't anything major or big, it's going to be one of those things where people aren't necessarily going to jump on them because they got burnt by the Wii U.
Yeah, so, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, think about the rumored specs for the NX say it is as powerful as a PS4 or slightly more. Some people say it's more powerful, something. So which means to me sounds like a PS4 4.5, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Now the other rumored part, it's got a controller that you can take with you. That's the other rumor. I mean, we've heard this rumors from NeoGAF in different places. So there is some. I look at it as there's some basis to that. It may not be exactly what we think, but we've kind of gone down that path already with the Wii. The Wii U, with its giant controller. My question is, what does Nintendo need to do for people to come back to own a Nintendo console? Because we're now moving. Think about it, we've moved into this weird era. Remember when in the weekly, right? And Juan had said this a couple of times. Like, how do you make that argument for the family that we should buy an Xbox, PlayStation, or we should just buy a Roku stick, especially the new Roku stick, which is getting a lot of raves out there, right?
Yeah.
So what is that compelling nature for someone to say, I'm going to buy an NX because it fulfills my entertainment value? Right now, to me, the Xbox has done a good job on that. Even PlayStation is beginning to, especially we added with the the VOO streaming service and things like that. Do you think Nintendo can do that?
Well, I think that the argument is still a bit flawed when people when one kind of makes that argument, because at the end of the day, the library of games is still bigger on the consoles and more prominent than you're going to see on things like a Roku or things like a Amazon Fire TV, or even something like a tablet
or
or
Apple
something,
TV.
Apple TV or something. The gaming experience is not the same. So, folks that are buying those things are truthfully casual gamers and aren't looking at a console in a full sense of the word anyways. But as a family, the family still, to this day, if their kid is into playing video games and likes gaming and their friends do too, it's still, are you getting an Xbox, or you're getting a PlayStation, or you're getting a Nintendo console? And the argument now becomes not so much for the parent, because at the end of the day, the parent and the family is just going to kind of buy whatever the heck the kid is playing in the end of the day, even if the parent is probably more prominently a gamer now than their parents were. It's at the end of the day, the kid's going to go like, all my friends are playing on this, all my friends are playing on that, and that's that's the console I want to play on. And if all the friends aren't playing on the
Nintendo, yeah,
then where does it go from there? I think that's the more prominent argument, because even as our generation gets older, which was probably the second generation of games we're getting into, where our people our age are having kids, or already have kids, or have teenagers and such like, or young adults, or even kids in the early 10 or 11 years old gaming. And even if we've gamed before, it ultimately comes down to what that kid wants to play.
Yeah, no, you said it. You said it right, and I'll give you the progression path.
No matter how much we might go, we're not buying that thing because we don't like it and we want to buy this thing over here. Well, you're in the day, it looks like you're buying two things. So that's just what it turns into.
So I'll give you the progression path. Very simple. My younger cousin is 13. He's going to be 14 this year. He started off with a Wii. I bought he and his sister a Wii. That's where he started his gaming experience. And then when the Wii U came out, I didn't feel like getting that for them. I give them my Xbox 360. There were a lot of cool games that they could still play within the age range and all that. I mean, I wanted to get them a Wii U, but even that, I personally didn't feel it. And when they came around and they checked it out, they were like, it's cool, but there was really nothing. I had all the latest catalog, but there's nothing at that time. There was no Smash Brothers, so it was like, okay, fine, you can have the Xbox 360. Now he's 13, and you get into your teenage years, and he wants to play Counter-Strike. He wants to play MMOs. He's already he has a PC. He has one of my PCs that I built, and he wants to play those games. And you can see how that's already taken him away. I'm watching my cousin go through, go away from console gaming. That's as one, but he still goes back to the Xbox 360 once in a while. But going away, and when I mentioned Nintendo, he's like, he's actually said exactly what you were talking about. Like, none of his friends play it. Like, no one. So
that generation is so much more on the online gaming and playing with each other. Even though they're not playing the same damn room, they want to play each other online.
Yeah, so that's gone, which is why Nintendo can still bring that back. It reminded me of how the topic of should they make a Pokemon movie? Because right now Warner Brothers and a few people are battling for the rights, and I'm like, oh, they better make a Pokemon movie. That's like a easy gangbuster. But also, they now they have Pokemon Live Tournament. Nintendo needs to take it to the next level if they really want. To me, that should also be a launch title for the NX, not just Zelda, because like you mentioned, everyone's playing online gaming, right? You want to make it an experience where that's the kind of thing where even if you're collecting Pokemon on Pokemon Go, the mobile game, off your cell phone, if you're going around,
it looks like all that thing does is this augmented reality of collecting.
Yeah, it's augmented, but if you're collecting in that, you should be able to transfer it over.
Well, I think that's.
I know. I'm just saying that they should make it an easy product. But Nintendo, sometimes you can transfer it over, but it becomes a hassle. It's not like just saying, you know what, in my Nintendo account, my save files are uploaded, right? That kind of thing, and then you go forward. That's the kind of thing that I think they can make that progression and make people go like. Even I myself, who granted, I am wearing this shirt. I swear I did not plan this when I wore this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I did not. I actually just woke up and wore it. But I would actually check that out. I would try it on a mobile game, and I was like, yeah, let me check it on my NX. You know, and I go online, and most likely all these young kids will beat me to death, but I'm like, it's cool, you know, and that's what you want to have.
Well, that game's not going to be useful to me unless I can see Team Rocket doing his motto. I don't care about anything else as long as they can come out and do the motto every so often. Just a button for them to just to do that the whole time, and I'll play the game. But I'm looking at this Pokemon Go thing, and it seems like this is an extension of a game of a probably a fuller game. That's probably maybe a launch title. Maybe they're going to launch a Pokemon game on the NX that takes advantage of this augmented reality, collecting Pokemon and then bringing them in, you know, throughout the day.
No, I agree, but the thing is that track record of Nintendo has always said that we can't trust them with stuff like that. We can't trust them to do it effectively, especially when you're now combining mobile. It could be such a great thing because, like I said, if Nintendo still wants to have that connection of kids playing together, that mobile experience, augmented reality, when they go to school, is the best way at this point, you know. And then you take it back home, and then you know, think about it, right? I beat my friend in school. I took his Pokemon, I powered it up, and I went online. I beat 4 Japanese dudes, and then by the time I come back to school, Pikachu looks like a beast.
Well, I mean, I doubt that this is going to be a game they're going to fight each other in. This looks very, very much like a new age Tamagotchi.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I honestly think I think that's the thing that they should do, because if they turn this into a game where it turns into PvP, then there's no reason for them to actually buy the full console at that point. You're just going around.
No, if you do PvP, it is points based, like the old Pokemon, like just a very simplistic version of it. While when you go onto the console, you're playing like the new Pokemon tournament.
Well, it looks like you can't. Like, they have a battle thing here, but it looks like it. I'd have to assume you would be battling other Pokemon, maybe that you're trying to catch.
Maybe. I mean, but you also should be able to steal Pokemon from people around you. Come on.
Oh, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Come on, that would be so good. Oh, you know
that wouldn't be. No, why they wouldn't allow that, because some kid would cry about it. That's gonna upset a kid, and that's gonna upset a parent, and then they're gonna have to create a server with stealing and a server without stealing and all this other stuff, the shenanigans they'll have to do, because you got to remember the age range of this is gonna be like kids that are like 3 or 4 years old, all even though they shouldn't have smartphones, but most likely they'll have something that can play this up until adulthood. So you can't be unless they put some age restriction on the stealing of a certain age that you can do that with. But that's still that creates an imbalance in the game. I think this is a straight up Tamagotchi on steroids style game, which I think is actually a good idea for them to do. You just walk around, you try to catch Pokemon at a certain time during the day.
Free roaming Pokemon, right? Like,
whatever. But that might be the only way you can get them too in the game. And the game itself on the console might just be a battle arena where you just go in and you fight and you compete in the Pokemon stages.
It shouldn't be though. I hear that, but it shouldn't be.
But then for you to develop your Pokemon, you have to do it in the app. To be able to, it actually wouldn't be a bad idea. So many people would actually do this though. That's the thing. They'll get the app to sit there and get their Pokemon set up and ready to go, and then when they go home and they're ready to plug it in and battle like other friends, they're gonna be able to see who's stronger than the other. It's actually bringing the real life element of Pokemon to it. Well, not real life, but what happens in the actual cartoon games itself is where that's what they do. You get Pokemon, you train them up, you feed them up, you level them up, and then you take it to some tournament for battle. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. If that connects in that way, that gives a new element that actually changes, that changes the Pokemon games from being just something you sit in the console where it almost creates a whole new way of playing the game where everybody has a, Pokemon they can take care of and go and play. I think it would be very, very cool experience because it could be because you could easily start it off that way. And if they need to, and people start whining and crying about not wanting to do it on the phone or whatever the case may be, they can then issue a patch that allows it just to be done on the game console. But then this thing might actually be a part of that piece of the control that you can take with you.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that part of that, but I mean, we'll see how it all pans out with Nintendo. I think what it is,
because I can't even tell what OS platform this thing even is running.
Yeah, there's so many things we don't know about the NX.
I don't know if this is an iOS or an Android type of game.
I mean, there were rumors there with Android, and then Nintendo said we're not using Android at all. So I think it is Android in the sense like Amazon, where it's open source, and then.
Well, no, I'm talking about the app itself that you're seeing here. I don't know what the app itself here.
The mobile app. The mobile app. Android. It's Android. Yeah. So, but it will be on both because it shows up. Remember the first game showed up on both anyway, so yeah, it will be on both. Don't Hate the Geek put in some comments here, and he stepped away. He said he's heading out, but he mentioned that Nintendo doesn't scale with its users' age and growth. That's very true. They've always consistently capped its age limit almost to as we have grown with Nintendo, they've not grown with us. And he also mentioned
because profits have shown in the past that they didn't need to do it,
and
that's the problem. They've never had to do it because people still buy Mario and gangbuster numbers. They still buy Zeldas. They still buy Mario Karts. They still buy Metroids. All their classic console games are still bought by people when those games came out are now.
But the other thing is there's also not grown with us with our needs. Just the multimedia entertainment side of things is sorely lacking. Forget the games. We understand that, right? We know that people always buy but on the entertainment side, like they haven't. Like I would never use my Wii U to watch Netflix. Am I stupid? That's just a waste of my time. It really is.
It depends on how much they want a home console, how much they want to push on home entertainment. Because then again, that isn't necessarily the entire focus of this console either, or Nintendo for the most part. It's mostly a gaming first machine that can kind of do those other things, like just.
I hear you. Sony said exactly the same thing. We are a PlayStation 4 is a game machine. They actually said that.
But they said that, but they also put a half-ass entertainment in there at the same time. So they were kind of called on their bluff with that. When Nintendo clearly
what did they do? What have they done now? They had to update.
But Sony said that shit completely because of Microsoft's press conference fuck up. That's why they said that.
I mean,
that had nothing to do.
No, but whether they said it or not, but
AKA, we're just going to shut off some features.
I know, but the thing is whether you say it or not, consumers have said my PlayStation 4, Xbox, or whatever console I have has to do these things. Microsoft was right.
Yeah.
Everybody else was wrong. Consumers are saying, because me and you remember when the Xbox first came out, one of the reasons I still love the Xbox, and I hope Cortana gets a full integration, is voice commands. Where literally, I remember then I was dating someone. I would say, if you want to watch Netflix, just say Xbox, go to Netflix. You don't have to use a controller. You can just do that. And that's, those are the kind of things that, how much will Nintendo do on that avenue, to move things forward? We don't know. It will be till March 2017. That is the earliest you would see. And like you said, I agree with you, Warren. It's gonna be a rough year for Nintendo.
Unless they have a bunch of DS games and things and such coming out to pad the losses. I mean, they're not going to do anything on a major console scale. So I really, unless they're gonna drop the prices on that console and really push it bundled with games. if they do a GameCube and drop it to about $100-$150 price point and bundle it with a ton of games, and that's something they could possibly look at and keep themselves afloat without taking too much of a loss, because they're the only company that makes money off hardware, and then no one else actually does that but them. So they might be able to, and they must be making a significant amount off of it to still be afloat to take these bullshit risks they be taking all the time on things. So they could probably cut some profits and cut some of the profit off into that to stave off some losses. Because if people could see they can buy a Mario Kart bundle or whatever game bundle with 3 or 4 games inside of it for about $150-$200, that's a risk most people will take, even if the console goes obsolete within the next year.
No, it's very true. You're right. I think they need to package it, and I also think they need to package it with the older titles, Nintendo Virtual Console games. It's an easy way to package stuff. You own original Mario and the rest of them for how many years? You've made enough money off it. I'm not saying that you can't sell it, but if you're gonna look. If you showed me, like you said, if you showed me the Wii U with 3 games and say 10 virtual console titles for $150, I'll buy it for my cousins.
Yeah, people will buy that, and just because the thing is, no one's going to necessarily go right out and buy the new console the second it comes out. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So
I mean, that's something that could stave them off for a little while. And I mean, I guess they're going to have to somewhat keep up with this console. I wonder how fast they're going to ditch that thing. I really do. Well, how fast they're going to ditch that thing is going to be interesting.
Ditch what?
Ditch the Wii U. How fast they ditch that thing is going to be interesting.
Rumors production will end 2018.
I say before that.
I know. I say 2018. They're making it sound that far off. I think production of the Wii U ends most likely
in December of this year. It's going to end this year.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to say March just to be safe, but I think you're right. I think
we'll hear the production cut sometime within the next 2 to 3 months. We'll hear of them ordering less, and then eventually they'll dwindle it down to the point where maybe by 2018 they've cut it, but they're only producing like a few hundred consoles at a time or something like that. But that's just a number to say to risk, just in case that the NX doesn't take off. But if they get a bunch of buzz off of this thing when they show it off and people are excited about it, they are going to cut that production fast.
I think before we just round up, what Nintendo needs to do March for the NX is that they need to come out blockbuster. Whether you don't have many games or not, but you need to remember, even the Wii U. Remember, they had a Wii U launch event in New York. I went to that event. They had a bunch of games out there. They showcased it. It looked good. There was promise. And that's what you want to get. But you want to have, by then, Nintendo needs to do a couple of things. One, they need to have a polished operating system. Whatever operating system they use, polished, I mean head to toe with entertainment. Now you don't need to supply the entertainment. Nintendo just needs to be the gateway for everybody. Everybody will have an app. Talk to your HBO, your Netflix, your Hulu, support HDR, all that stuff. Make sure it's in there, done. And make sure it's easy to navigate. Even Apple, even Apple, who, everybody thought they're not the king of home entertainment, actually, by the way, it's Roku. So even Apple had to go back and change their OS. I mean, I actually like the new Apple OS for Apple TV. So streamlined and easy to use. You got to remember to do that. Second, you need to have games, and you need to, sad to say again, mentioning third-party games, but you need to have something. It doesn't have to be an exclusive at this point. Nobody believes you're going to have exclusive, but whatever game, whatever feature that the NX does well, you need to go to 3 third parties and make sure they have at least one game at launch that uses those features well. And your developers have to make it for them, because that's how lazy developers are. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And finally, you need to have a mega launch event, something that creates buzz. People who even hate Nintendo will go, I'll definitely check it out, because that's what you want.
That's trusting that they're going to invite the right people to go to those things, and for those things to sort of happen, which can always be questionable for them and how they who they pick and choose. They
Yeah.
do got to think a little bit unorthodox and outside of the box if they're going to
They need to do Samsung Galaxy S3 type launch. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a pretty big launch.
Yeah, or the Note 2 when they had Kanye.
Yeah.
That's when you need to think outside and say the reason why we say this is that we went to the Galaxy S3 launch, showed up. They had stations of cool things they're showing off about the devices, and then on our way out,
it's Steve Nash there too.
It looked like we went into a club. It was 12 noon. We walked in. It felt like it was like 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night. And then by the time we walked out, we're walking out with phones, and they're like, "Hey, take it. Go use it." That's what they almost need to do. They almost need to give us NXs almost immediately. I swear. This is not the PlayStation 4 or 4.5. This is not Xbox Next. They almost need to say, go and use an NX. Let people know what it is. Because Nintendo, nobody has the faith in Nintendo anymore. Now, if it's a DS launch, yeah, we understand the DS is king. So we're not gonna get one. But the NX is so important for that future growth that they almost need to. Same thing with the Galaxy Note. Every single YouTuber I could think of was there. Everyone. We walked in, as soon as we walked in, there's this huge line to pick up your Note 2, and then there's a huge Kanye concert. I didn't stay for Kanye because at that time it was beginning to piss me off, so I just left.
Okay. No, that's not the story. He left and got locked out. Ain't the story.
No.
You went and came back, and they wouldn't let you back in. I thought.
No. I didn't. I left.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys left. It was a good concert.
I left. I mean,
it was a good concert.
I'm sure it was. Maybe that was kind of on the teetering edge of him being useless. But anyway, it's time for us to round up. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Warren Bowman. As you can see, YouTube does not have his lower third, but definitely check him out at BWOne.com. So it's BWOne, all spelled out, .com. And you'll find him on YouTube, or you can just type BWOne also, and you will find him there. And also follow him on Twitter, as well as he's trying to fix his lower third. That's just not happening.
Ever.
And also follow us. It's Board Gamers, our gaming channel here at Board at Work. And thank you very much, guys. And all your thoughts, leave it down below. Share them, and always enjoy your entertainment.